Hello everyone and welcome to my newest video. This one we're going to talk about how to help someone through bad habits, how to help someone change their habits. This might include yourself or someone else you're trying to help. I've recently run into a few different people who are asking me to help them or who have asked me to help them change a habit they don't like or they don't feel enabled or empowered to change themselves. And I've also been asked recently by a few other people, how do I help someone I love or have someone I know to change their bad habits? Step one is they have to want to. And while that's well known, we as helpers get very angry or upset or we give up when the person we're trying to help doesn't actually want to change the habit. So, what I want to talk about in this video is the steps to get a person to that place that they want to change the habit. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we will see a person who, say, is overweight and they know that it's because they eat incorrectly, whether they eat more than they should or they eat different kinds of foods that are healthy for them, or maybe it's a person who has a habit of lying and being deceptive about the things that they do and the things that they want. Or we could talk about drug use. Those kinds of things are habits that most people around the person who does those things would like them to change. And in some cases, it's not simply, oh, I'd like you to change that habit. In some cases, it's, if you don't change that habit, we're going to get a divorce. Or if you don't change that habit, I'm never talking to you again. Or if you don't change that habit, you're probably going to die. And it's a very emotionally heavy conversation. Most people don't know how to help someone who's destroying their life, who they perceive as destroying their life. And unfortunately, the common wisdom is we can't help them until they want to change. And while that is in some sense true, there is a way we can assist them with that. Now, let's start with the fact that we can't change somebody. We can't choose a new decision for someone else. We can't make somebody do a thing. But what we often miss by saying that is we often miss that we can influence them. We can't change them, but we also can help them guide them towards a decision that is more in line with what we want them to have or what they want. And that influence is a type of manipulation. And the problem we have is we try and use the negative manipulative tools like guilt or shame or scientific studies, or we try and alert them to all the mistakes they're making, and those are negative manipulation tools, and they will almost always act in the opposite direction you intend them to. The more we tell a person what they're doing is going to wreck their life or harm someone else, or the more we tell a person that they have to change or they have to quit or they have to do something different, the more they feel guilt and shame about what they're doing. And in almost all cases, it's the guilt and the shame that causes them to do it in the first place. So adding more guilt and shame does not motivate them to change. Instead, it motivates them to go deeper into the decisions they're making. So stop, please. If there's one thing I can ask you to do, stop guilting them or shaming them or telling them what they're doing is wrong or why it's wrong or how they're messing everything up. That's what's making things worse. If you can't help them, stop trying. And if you want to help them, here's how. You need three things. You need rapport, you need choice, and you need to meet them where they're at. And I don't mean just you need to have choices, they need to have choices. And they need to have choices that they see as choices, not the choices that you see as choices. When you're talking to a drug addict and you say, well, yeah, you can go to a 12-step meeting, or you can go to a dry out center, or you can go to the hospital, or you can come live with me, or you can just quit drugs on your own. Those aren't choices. Because for the addict, none of those are options he will or feels he can choose. Those aren't options. Those might be options to you, but not in his or her brain. So they need options. And that's where number one comes in. You need rapport. They need to not just like you because, you're my husband, my wife, you're my mom, my dad, my kids, not because I care about you. That's not enough. I need to care about you, and I need to trust that you care about me, that you understand me, and that you want to know why I do what I do. That you really want to know. That you're not looking to know why I do what I do so that you can change it, but you want to know why I do what I do so that you can love me more without me changing anything. And the last one, you need to meet them where they're at. That's kind of the key to building rapport. You need to help them live the life they're trying to live. That's what meeting them where they're at looks like. And I don't mean they're trying to quit drugs, or they're trying to quit eating, or they're trying to change their eating habits, or they're trying to stop lying. I don't mean those things. I mean help them do the thing they are doing and be more effective at it. How we meet them where they're at is we help them to become better at the problem so that they can start to understand that they get to choose the problem. If you go to a drug addict and you find him or her often um, spaced out on the couch, not being able to do anything. I've known drug addicts who've shat themselves, who've messed their pants. I've known drug addicts who've run around the streets naked. I've known drug addicts who've bounced off the walls, fell on the floor, fell against a piece of furniture, banged themselves, even hurt themselves seriously because they couldn't walk straight. I've known people with bad eating habits who can't leave the house because they don't have enough energy, or they don't have enough, or they don't have the ability to move that far. I've known people who are so engrossed in their own lives that they don't even know what they want. If you want to meet them where they're at, before you can help them change the habit that they want to change or that you want them to change, help them be better at that habit. Help the drug addict to have a better system of drug use. And I don't mean you provide them with drugs or you enable them to use drugs. I mean that you make it so that they don't have to bounce off the walls to get to the washroom. You make it so that they can prepare for the consequences. If I'm about to take a bunch of drugs and I'm going to be spaced out on the couch and not be able to move, maybe I'm going to want whatever I'm going to need nearby. So a bathroom, or food, water, maybe my TV, something. Instead of just spacing out in my bedroom and going, oh, I wish I could watch TV, or damn it, I can't make it to the bathroom, or boy, I'm hungry, what do I do now? And then they wander all over the house, probably hurting themselves, possibly hurting other people, trying to get their needs met. Help them prepare beforehand to get their needs met. I'm not asking you to take care of those needs. I'm asking you to help them plan for their use so that they can get their needs met, so that they can feel in control of what happens when they get high. I'm asking you to help the person who's overeating or who's eating unhealthy to do the things they want to do. If they're obese, help them go places they couldn't normally go. If they're weak and um, unhealthy, help them to accomplish things they can't do on their own. When you're talking to somebody who's a habitual liar who doesn't even know what they want themselves, help them to see the little truths, the tiny truths in what they already do, what they already say. Help them to see that the lies that they're telling themselves are there to help them do something, or are there to help them protect themselves from something. Meet them where they're at means help them do their bad habit more efficiently by hurting themselves and other people less without having to change the habit, because that step helps them to own that habit. And it begins the very slow and gradual process of healing the shame they have. If they can own the habit, if they can learn how to be a more conscious person when they're doing that habit, do it more intentionally, more efficiently, with less consequences, then they can feel less bad about having that habit, and they can more easily own the habit, more easily take responsibility for that habit, and start to believe that they have choice. And eventually they'll even believe that they're choosing that habit. Now, when I say eventually, I'm not talking hours or days, I'm talking weeks, months, sometimes years. It can take days. I've seen this happen in a matter of days. It's extremely uncommon because they've got so much shame built up. Help them do their bad habit better so it's hurting less people, hurting themselves less. That's meeting them where they're at. And when you meet them where they're at and you help them do that, that builds rapport. Now, not only do they love you and do they know you love them, but they also begin to trust that you're not going to just guilt them into changing, that you will be there no matter what happens, no matter what they need. And so that you meet them where they're at, you build rapport, and you let them see the choices they're making. In other words, you let them see the choices they have. If I'm going to take some drugs, I can take these drugs and they'll do those consequences. I can take those drugs and they'll have these consequences. Often a drug addict has a drug of choice, so they won't even have choices in what drug they take. But you can say, okay, well, you have the choice of where you want to be when you're high. You can be in your bedroom with your TV and maybe you have an ensuite bathroom next door, or you can maybe if the bathroom isn't close by, you can get high at a room that is close to the bathroom. Or maybe you can have a bucket nearby so that you can pee in a bucket, throw up in a bucket. Maybe have two buckets, throw up in one, pee in another. And then when they're sober enough, they can empty the buckets. And then it's not so far for them to go. Maybe have it so they have a beer fridge nearby so they can have some food in it. Maybe have some water, a bottle of water that's nearby. Chances are they're going to make a big mess out of these things. But tell me they haven't been making a big mess already. Most addicts I know have been. So just help them make a smaller mess. Not help them get rid of the mess, but just make a more controlled mess. One that's easier to clean up. The person who's got bad eating habits, help them to eat what they want when they want it, and help them to see when they want it and when they're just choosing it because they don't know what else to do. Help them to eat what they want when they want, but help them to see the choices they have. For the person who he eats just eats nothing or badly, help them to figure out when they're hungry. Help them to see the benefits of the food they're eating or the problems of the other food they're eating. Help them to make the choices. And I don't mean help them to eat healthy. I mean help them to see the benefits of the unhealthy food they're eating. Junk food still has carbs. Carbs we require to live. Maybe we don't require as many carbs as we've been intaking, but we do need carbs. Our intestines, without the bacteria that's in our intestines, that's not actually a part of our body, but it's in our intestines. The only thing our actual intestines, the part that was birthed with us, can do is process glucose, which is a carb. That's what carbs become. We need carbs. We need sugar. We need all of these unhealthy foods that we keep saying we shouldn't have, that we should limit. And you're right, we do need to limit those. And if we can't limit those, then help us to understand the benefits that those have. If eating a bag of chips in one sitting is going to get my energy up, then damn it, I'm going to eat a bag of chips. If eating an entire box of Kraft Dinner to myself is going to help me feel full, then damn it, don't stop me from eating that box of Kraft Dinner. Maybe instead, help me to decide when I want to. Help me to figure out when I'm hungry and when I'm not hungry. Help me to figure out when I'm just bored and maybe some popcorn is better because it's not so filling and I just want something in my mouth. Maybe help me to chew some gum. Instead of changing the full box of KD that I'm going to eat all in one sitting and changing that to carrot sticks, which I'm just going to throw in the garbage and let them rot anyway. I'll eventually get there. But how about you let me eat that full box of Kraft Dinner and understand when I want to and when I don't need to? Instead of telling me that I'm lying to myself, that I'm deceiving everybody, and that I'm ruining everything, why don't you help me to understand what my lies are trying to do? Help me to see where my lies are harming myself and where in my lies are the honesty. Where is the things that I'm lying about showing me myself, showing me my true self? Where are those lies helping me to see the honesty that I have, the integrity that I have, the authenticity that I have, the real me in the lies without having to stop lying to you or to myself or to anybody else? Help me to see what those lies are trying to do for me. Help me to lie only when I know I know it's for the right purposes. I know it's for I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want to hurt myself. Help me to lie for good reasons. Instead of changing the habit, help me to do the habit better. Meet my where I'm at, build some rapport, and show me the choices that I have. When I start to see those choices, I'll eventually start to see that I have choices. I'll start to build more choices, and those bad habits will slowly, gradually dwindle away. And as they dwindle away further and further, I'll seek more and more help. And if you're the one who's been offering me that help, I'll seek more. I'll seek you more. I'll seek your advice more. And maybe you don't have all the answers, but at least if I'm seeking your help, you can help me find the answers. The thing that we do most often that causes these habits to get worse is we tell people how to fix themselves. We tell people how to get better. We tell people what they're doing wrong and why it's wrong. All that does is add more shame. which is the core of the problem in the first place. If anything you possibly say could make them feel guilty, don't say it. If they're going to feel guilty about what you're telling them, if that's going to make them feel bad, that's the reason they're doing it in the first place, because they already feel much worse than you could ever make them feel, by 100, by 1,000 times. Every bad habit is created by some version of shame, some version of protecting my emotions from the damage I'm already doing to myself, which is far worse than anything you can ever do to me. How we help somebody choose to find help is by helping them see the choices they currently make, they are currently enabled to do. The choices that they can see as a choice. Maybe they can't choose to quit drinking or to eat healthy or to stop lying, but they might be able to choose to be more safe about it, to be more conscious about it, to be more intentional about it. And if we can help them do those things, they can eventually empower themselves to see the choices they have. And once they can see the choices they have, they can see they can make other choices. And oftentimes that's when they can ask for help, when they can see they have another choice. The last point I want to make on this is we usually tell people what they have to do, what they need to do, what they must do. And those clash in their head with what they can't do. You have to get sober. I can't get sober. Well, if I have to do something, our subconscious brains here have to, need to, and must, as they do this or die. When we use those ultimatum style words, our subconscious, our emotion center feels that as do this or die. So when that clashes with I can't do this, the only option is death. Nearly everybody that I know that has these habits wants to die, has at least considered death. All of them have thought to themselves, well, if I do this thing and it causes my death, that's okay. Most of them have thought to themselves, I'd rather die because I can't fix this. People are telling me I have to fix this and I can't do what I have to do. The only other option is death. So stop telling them they have to do it because you're telling them they have to die. The need to, the have to that I've used in this video, telling you what you need to do to help them. Those words equal death. When a person can't do the thing they need to do, that means they're going to die. That means to their emotional center, not to their reasoning brain, not to their logical brain that clearly doesn't have control anyway, but to their emotion center, to their instincts that clearly does have control at this point. That part of their body, that part of their brain only sees a have to and a can't as death. That's why so many of them attempt or at least consider suicide. Of the clients that I've had, I'm going to say 60 or 70% of them, I've been on the phone while they've attempted suicide because of the guilt and shame they have over the thing they can't do that they've been told they have to do. So how we get them to choose is to stop telling them what they have to do and showing them what they can do, what they have been doing, and the choices they have in doing that better. I hope that was helpful. And I hope you can go use that to help someone else. Perhaps you're the person who needs to hear this. Maybe you're the bad habit that you're trying to change. And the same thing applies to you. If you have any questions, drop me a line. I'll talk to you later.